A very good morning, students. Welcome to science session for class 10. And today we are going to see an important lesson and a very interesting lesson. That is unit 11, carbon and compounds. I said this lesson is very, very important because this will give you the basic fundamentals regarding the carbon and compound, and this will be very useful when you go to the standard science group. And see that you write the formulas. A very good morning, students. Welcome to science session for class 10, and today we are going to see an important lesson and a very interesting lesson, that is unit 11, carbon and compounds. I said this lesson is very, very important because this will give you the basic fundamentals regarding the carbon and its compound, and this will be very useful when you go to 11th standard when you take the science group. And see to that you write the formulas or the definitions or the functional groups in this lesson, especially because this will give you the basic fundamentals regarding the carbon and its compounds. Now in this session we'll be learning about what is organic compound, the characteristics of organic compound, what is functional group, what are the characteristics of homologous series, what do you mean by homologous series, and nomenclature, that is naming of the organic compound. And we have the other part in this lesson, and this will be dealt in the next session. And we have the naming of the organic compound, isn't it? And this will be the compulsory question in most of the question paper. So I'll be giving you the IUPAC naming of the compounds, how to name it, and see to that you write it in the classwork. Let's go into the session sheet. Let's start with the session, children. Today we are going to see carbon and its compound, isn't it? Children, in 9th standard we would have learnt about the carbon and its compound, isn't it? Now we said that there are number of carbon compounds in our day-to-day life because the food that we eat, the medicines that we take, the clothes that we wear, domestic and automobile fuels, paint, cosmetics, automobile parts, if you see, all these are carbon compounds. They use carbon compounds. There are a number of carbon compounds that is found in our nature, and not only found in the nature, man-made carbon compounds are also found, isn't it? Now in fact, if you see, there are more than 5 million compounds, that is carbon compounds. Now why? Because these so many carbon compounds are found because it has unique nature. The unique nature of the carbon is, the first one is catenation. This we have learnt in 9th standard. Catenation is the ability to combine with itself, that is carbon combines with carbon, isn't it? So that nature is called as catenation. Tetravalency, it has 4 valencies, it has 4 electrons in its outermost shell, so tetravalency. Multiple bonding, it can also form multiple bonding, it can make double bond and triple bonds with the other carbon atoms, and it can combine with itself, that is what we said as catenation, or with the other elements like hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and sulfur. So because of these unique nature, many carbon compounds are found, and if you see, it forms the covalent compound, and these compounds are called as the organic compounds. All the compounds that is formed by the carbon are called as the organic compound. Now let's see the general characteristics of the organic compounds. The first one is, if you see, all the organic compounds, they have high molecular weight and almost all are complex structures. The next one is, it is insoluble in water because organic compounds are non-polar compounds. So this will not be soluble in the polar solvents. So they are insoluble in water but soluble in organic compounds, that is the non-polar compound solvents such as ether, carbon tetrachloride and toluene. And if you see, they are highly inflammable in nature, and they are less reactive than the inorganic compounds. If you see the inorganic compounds, these are less reactive, and it forms covalent bond, we said, isn't it? And it has low melting point and boiling point than the inorganic compounds. Now usually inorganic compounds have high melting point and low high boiling point, and they exhibit isomerism. Now what do you mean by isomerism? Isomerism is one in which the compound will have same molecular formula but contains different structures that differ in the physical and the chemical properties. So that is called as isomerism, and these carbon compounds, especially the organic compounds, exhibit the isomerism. They are volatile in nature, that is, they change from the gaseous solids to the gaseous states, and they can be prepared in the laboratory. So these are the general characteristics of the organic compound. Now, if you see the classifications of the organic compounds are classified into acyclic, that is open chain. It will not be in closed structure, it will be in straight structure, right? As a straight line, the compound will be in straight chain. And next one is cyclic. Cyclic in the sense there will be a closed one, either in the square or in the hexagon shape. The next one is this acyclic compounds is further classified into saturated compounds and unsaturated compounds. Saturated compounds contain single bond between the carbon and carbon, and unsaturated contains double bond and triple bond. Either it contains double bond or triple bond. That is, these bonds are present between the carbon and carbon. The next one is the cyclic compounds. These cyclic compounds are further divided into two categories. First one is the carbocyclic compounds and heterocyclic compounds. What is carbocyclic compounds? These consist of only carbon. Carbon is linked to the other carbon atoms. For example, you can say benzene and cyclobutane. If you see the heterocyclic compounds contains heteroatoms like oxygen, nitrogen, etc. Now, if you see this compound, that is furan. Now, these corners contains carbon, but here it consists of oxygen. So it contains an heteroatom, so it is called as heterocyclic. Why it is cyclic? Because it has closed chain, so it comes under heterocyclic. Now, if you see the carbocyclic is further classified into alicyclic and aromatic. Now, what is alicyclic? Alicyclic consists of only the carbon that is linked with the other carbon, but do not contain the double bond between them, right? If you see cyclobutane, right? Now this consists of the carbon, isn't it? But do not contain double bond. If you see aromatic, it will contain the benzene ring. So aromatic compounds contains benzene ring, and you can see the alternative double bond and single bond inside the benzene ring. So this is about the classification flow chart of the organic compound. Next, we'll move to hydrocarbons. Now, what do you mean by hydrocarbons? Now, we said that the organic compounds consist of the carbon, isn't it? Now, this hydrocarbons, as the name indicates, it consists of hydrogen and carbon. So, it consists of only hydrogen and carbon. So, it is named as hydrocarbons. Now, if you see the carbon atoms join together to form the framework of the compound, so it is called as hydrocarbons. These are the parent organic compounds. These hydrocarbons are the parent organic compounds. Then all the compounds that is derived from this hydrocarbons are called as the derived compounds. Now, how it is done? It is done by placing one or more hydrogen atoms with the other group of atoms. That will come under the derived hydrocarbons. Now, if you see the classifications of the hydrocarbons, it is classified into three classes, that is alkane, alkene and alkyne. So these are the basic, or you can say parent organic compounds from which the other compounds are derived. Now, these classifications has the general formula. So each type has its own general formula. If you see alkane, so this is the general formula, that is CnH2n plus 2, and alkene is CnH2n, alkyne is CnH2n minus 2. Now, if you see alkene, it consists of only single bond. However, the chain is long, it consists of only the single bond. And if you see alkene, it consists of double bond, and alkyne consists of triple bond. Now, since it consists of only single bond, it is considered to be the saturated compound. So, since it contains double bond and triple bond, these two are the unsaturated compounds. Now, if you see the simple alkane, the first member of the alkane is the methane, and this is arrived by replacing n is equal to 1, and the first alkane is the methane, and the formula is CH4. And here the simplest alkene is C2H4. This is also derived by replacing n is equal to 1, right? And this is the simplest alkyne, that is acetylene. Acetylene is the simplest alkyne, and the formula is C2H2. So this is about the classification of the parent organic compound, or you can say hydrocarbon. Now we are going to derive these members of the alkane group, and this is done by replacing n is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. Now here you can see the number of the hydrocarbons where n is replaced by n is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. Now here you can see the tabular column. Now this consists of the number of the carbon in the compound alkane, alkene and alkyne. Now here you can see the general molecular formula. Now in this general molecular formula we are going to represent 1, 2, 3 and find out the members of the alkyne, alkene and alkyne. Now the first one, n is equal to 1. So here it consists of only carbon atom. Now if you replace n is equal to 1, now here C1H2 into 1 plus 2. So substituting n is equal to 1 in this formula. So this will become C1H4. So this can be simply written as CH4. So the first member of the alkane is methane, right? And if you see alkene, now here also we are representing n is equal to 1. So C1H2 into 1, this is C1H2. So this does not exist, because if you see a carbon should have 4 bonds around it, right? Now it consists of only 2 hydrogen atoms. So I'll replace here 2 hydrogen atoms. Now what about these 2 bonds? Does not contain any atom. So this will not exist. So this formula does not exist. So we cannot replace n is equal to 1. Similarly, if you replace n is equal to 1 in this formula, you will get C1H0. So it doesn't, it arrives at C, isn't it? The only carbon. So this cannot be done with the alkene and alkane. So we cannot represent n is equal to 1 in this. So straight away we will go to n is equal to 2 in case of alkene and alkane. So first we will say alkane. Now here n is equal to 2. So the number of carbon atom in this compound will be 2. So if you replace n is equal to 2, C2H2 into 2 plus 2. So this will become C2H4 plus 2. So C2H6. So the second member of the alkane is ethane, right? The first member is methane, the second member is ethane. Now here this is the first member, because after replacing n is equal to 1, we got a compound which does not exist at all, right? So this is n is equal to 2. So if when you put n is equal to 2 in alkene, so C2H2 into 2, so this is C2H4. Now how will you represent? Since it consists double bond, there is a double bond between the carbon and compound. So C double bond C, and on either side you have 2 hydrogen atoms. So this gives you the complete compound, and the name of the compound is ethene. So since it comes under alkene group, it is ethene. Now similarly, if you see n is equal to 2 in alkane, so C2H2 into 2 minus 2, so this will become C2H4 minus 2, C2H2. Now here alkene consists of 3 bonds, isn't it? So C triple bond C and H on either side. So the first member of the alkyne is ethylene, right? So here it will come ethane as the second member, but for ethene and for alkene and alkyne, ethene and ethylene will be the first member. Next we'll replace n is equal to 3. So the number of carbon atom in this compounds will be 3. So if you represent n is equal to 3, C3H2 into 3 plus 2, so C3H6 plus 2, so C3H8. So the member will be propane, right? And if you see alkene, CnH2n, so instead of n, 3, C3H2 into 3, C3H6, so this will be propene. And here alkyne, CnH2n minus 2, so C3H2 into 3 minus 2, so C3 minus 2, so C3H4, so this will be propyne, right? So the third member of the alkane will be propane. Here for these two, this will be the second member, that is propene and propyne. Now if you represent n is equal to 4, here if you represent n is equal to 4, the number of the carbon atom in these compounds will be 4, right? And here if you represent n is equal to 4, this will be C4H2 into 4 plus 2, so C4H8 plus 2, C4H10. So C4H10 will be butane. Similarly, if you represent for alkene, C4H2 into 4, so if C4H8, so this will be butene, and C4H2n minus 2, so that's C4H8 minus 2, C4H6, so this will be butane. So this will be the third member for these two alkane and alkyne, but for alkane this will be the fourth member. And if you represent n is equal to 5, replace n is equal to 5. Now here the number of the carbon atom in these compounds will be 5. So C5H2 into 5 plus 2. So C5H10 plus 2. C5H12 is pentane. So since it is alkane group. Now see alkene. C5H2 into 5. So C5H10. This is pentene. So this will be the fourth member of alkene. Now if you represent n is equal to 5. If you replace n is equal to 5 in alkyne, C5H2 into 5 minus 2. So this will be C5H10 minus 2, C5H8. So this will be pentyne. So these are the 5 members of the alkane, alkene and alkyne hydrocarbons. So these are the parent hydrocarbons, and these 5 members of this hydrocarbons should be remembered. So you replace n is equal to 1 in the general formulas and arrive at these compounds. So please do it in your classwork or in your rough note. Practice this well. Now if you see the characteristics of the hydrocarbons, we know that the lower members, isn't it, methane and ethane. So the lower members will be gases at room temperature, and most of the hydrocarbons will be colorless and odorless. And if you see the melting point of the hydrocarbons, it increases with number of the hydrocarbons. Now for example, if you see the methane will have a lower melting point, and if you compare methane with the pentane will have the higher boiling point, right? So this is how the boiling point or the melting point increases with increase in the number of carbon atoms. And most of the hydrocarbons undergo combustion reaction. That is, when it reacts with oxygen, it gives carbon dioxide and water. So this is the general reaction for most of the hydrocarbons. Now if you see alkanes are least reactive when compared to that of the alkene and alkane, because this contains double bond and triple bond, isn't it? So this will be the most reactive because it consists of the triple bond. And if you see alkanes are saturated, alkenes and alkynes are unsaturated, and these are insoluble in water, because we have learnt about the general characteristics of the organic compounds, isn't it? So most of the organic compounds will be insoluble in water but soluble in the polar solvents. Next we'll move to the classification of the organic compounds based on the functional group. So before we go into classification, we have to know what is functional group, isn't it? Now if you see the hydrocarbons, I said these hydrocarbons consist of the carbon and the hydrogen atoms, isn't it? So but the structure or the compounds that is made up of only carbon and hydrogens are less reactive, right? So but the presence of the other members of the atoms makes it more reactive. Now for example, if it consists of the alcohol group or the acid groups or the acetone groups, now this will become more reactive compared to that of the basic parent hydrocarbon group, right? So now this determines that, so the presence of the other atoms or the group of atoms determines the chemical properties of the compound. So these are called as the functional groups, right? So what is functional group? Functional group is an atom or a group of atoms which gives its characteristics, chemical properties. So due to the presence of the group of atoms which is called as a functional group, the chemical properties is decided or determined, right? So that is the functional group. Now if you see the second member of the alkane, so this is ethane, isn't it? CH3CH3. So this is alkane. This is ethane, isn't it? Now if this one hydrogen atom in this carbon is replaced by OH, then it will become an alcohol. So the presence of this OH is nothing but the functional group. So this OH is nothing but alcohol. So the general name of this compound will be the alcohol, since it contains OH. So this is called as the functional group. Now let's see what are the functional groups that is included for this for you in this lesson. Now if you see the functional groups, the first one is alcohol and the formula is OH, bond OH. Now whenever you write the functional group, this bond is very, very important. So without the bond you cannot write the functional group. So bond OH. Now if you see the compound, now R is nothing but the alkyl group. R represents the alkyl group, so ROH is the general form. Next is aldehyde. Now aldehyde functional group is bond C double bond OH. So this is the functional group of aldehyde, and this is the general compound that you represent, that is RCHO. So this CHO can be written like the CHO. Now ketone is bond C double bond O bond. So always remember that around carbon there should be 4 bonds. Now you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 bonds, right? And the general compound is RCOR. Then carboxylic acid, bond C double bond O OH. So this is carboxylic acid, and RCOOH is the general formula. Now ester. Now ester formula is bond C double bond O OR, right? So this general compound is RCOOR. This R can be a same group or different group. For example, if you see C2H5 COO C2H5, or it can be C2H5 COO CH3. So this two can be a different one or the same alkyl group. Next is the ether. Ether, the formula is bond OR. Now the general formula that you represent is RCOR, and here also the R can be the same group, same alkyl group, or can be a different alkyl group. So these are the functional groups that is included for you in this portion. So please do copy this functional group in your classwork. Next is these test for saturated and unsaturated compounds. Now we said that alkene and alkyne consist of the double bond and triple bond respectively. And if you see alkanes, it consists of only single bond, we said, isn't it? Now how to test whether the compound is a saturated one or unsaturated one? Now if you see saturated, it comes under alkane. Unsaturated, alkene and alkyne comes under unsaturated compounds. So how to test for the saturated and unsaturated compounds? First you have to take the test tube, 2 test tubes, and the sample solution is taken in the test tube, and in each of these test tube you are going to add few drops of bromine water, and you are going to take, first of all you are going to take the saturated solution in one of the test tube and unsaturated solution in one of the test tube, and you are going to add a few drops of bromine water in both the test tubes. Now what will happen after some time? Now if it is a saturated one, if the liquid is a saturated compound, now we do not decolorize. There will be no decolorization of the bromine water. The color appear as it is from the beginning till the end. Now if it contains an unsaturated compounds, the bromine water, if you add, as soon as you add, it undergo decolorization and there will be no color. The color of the solution becomes fade in, right? That is called as decolorization. So decolorization of the bromine water takes place. So this is how you test for the saturated and unsaturated. So for saturated compounds, you do not decolorize the bromine water. See, the unsaturated compounds decolorize the bromine water. Now what do you mean by decolorization? The color, now for example, if you add bromine water, if it is an orange color, it will be an orange color till the end of the experiment. Now here decolorization in the sense that the orange color disappears, isn't it? So that is called as decolorization. So the unsaturated compounds decolorizes the bromine water. Next we'll move to homologous series. Now homologous series is a group or the class of the organic compound that have general molecular formula, but these, if you see these chemical properties, it will also be similar, right? But it differs by the successive group or by the CH2 group. So those are called as homologous series. Now if I explain, you will understand it better. Now we know that the alkane members, isn't it? Now for example, if you see alkane, the first group is methane, ethane, propane, butane and pentane. So these is the formula, isn't it? Now if you see the first member and the second member, these two members differ by CH2 group, that is bond CH2 group. So this is how the successive members. Now if you compare ethane and propane, even this two differs by CH2. Now here you can see CH3, it consists of 2 CH3, and here also it consists of 2 CH3 and one more group is added, that is CH2. So if you see each and every successive member, the next member, if you compare the two consecutive members, each compound differs by CH2 group. So this is how the homologous series goes. Now this is the homologous series for alkane, right? Similarly you can write for alkene and alkyne and compare it. Now there also it will differ by CH2 group. And if you see the chemical properties will be similar for this homologous series. Now we'll see the characteristics of the homologous series. Now each member of the homologous series differ by the preceding or the succeeding member by CH2 group. Now all the members of the homologous series contains the same elements and same functional group. Now this is the general this one. Now if for example if I am preparing a homologous series for alkane, so this will be methanol, ethanol, propanol, butanol and pentanol, isn't it? Now if you see the elements, this will have the same functional group and it contains the same elements, right? Then they are represented by the general molecular formula. Now this is an alkane, so the general molecular formula will be CnH2n minus plus 2. Now if it is for alkene, it will be CnH2n, and if it is alkyne, it is CnH2n minus 2. So this is how they have their general molecular formula. And the members of each homologous series, if you see, they'll have a gradation in the physical properties with respect to the increase in the carbon atoms, or you can see increase in the molecular mass. The chemical properties, if you see, it will be very similar. It is more or less the similar one, and all the members can be prepared by a common method. Now if I want to prepare the homologous series members of this homologous series, I can use a common method to prepare all these compounds. So this is the characteristics of the homologous series. Next we'll see nomenclature. Right now first we'll understand what is nomenclature, why do we need nomenclature. Now in ancient days, what happens, the naming of the organic compounds is done in a natural way. Now for example, if you see red ants, right, now this red ant, that is the organic compound that is obtained from the red ant is formic acid, right? Now how it is named, the Latin name for the red ant is formica, so the acid, that is the organic compound that is obtained from the red ant, is named as formic acid. Now this is how the natural way of naming the organic compound. Now later on, these organic compounds are synthesized from the other sources, not the natural sources. They are synthesized by using the chemical compounds, right? So scientists found a scientific method for naming the organic compounds based on their structures, and they have set rules. They have formulated certain rules by IUPAC. Now this is called as IUPAC, right? How do you pronounce it? IUPAC. Now what is IUPAC? The abbreviation of IUPAC is International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. So using the set of rules that is formulated by the IUPAC, the nomenclature of the chemical compounds or the organic compounds are named, right? Now this consists of three parts. The first one is root name, prefix and suffix. Now how it is formulated or presented, first if you have any prefix, so that comes first, plus the root word, then the suffix should be added at the last. So this together gives you the IUPAC name, right? Now we are going to see the set of rules that is formulated to name the organic compound. Now followed by it, we are going to see the naming of the few compounds. Now I said that the IUPAC naming consists of three parts, that is the prefix, root word and the suffix, isn't it? Now let's see what is root word. Now here in the picture you can see the number of carbon atoms in the root word. Now what is root word? Root word is the basic unit, right? So which describes the carbon, number of carbon that is present, or you can say it describes the carbon skeleton, right? The basic carbon chain that is present in the carbon, right? This gives you the number of carbon atoms that is present in the parent chain and the pattern of arrangement, how it is arranged either in this linear chain or in the branch chain. So based on the number of the carbon atoms that is present in the carbon skeleton, the naming of the carbon is done. And here in the picture you can see that the numbering is done from 1 to 10, and if it is one carbon, if the compound contains one carbon atom, then the root word is meth. Now if it contains 2 eth, 3 prop, 4 but, 5 pent, 6 hex, 7 hept, 8 octa, it is basically oct, and 9 non, and 10 is. So this is how the root word is mentioned. Now for example, if it contains 5 carbon atom, now the root word will be pent. Now based on the number of carbon atoms that is present, the root word will be chosen. Now for example, if the compound contains double bond, right, and it contains 5 carbon atom. Now what is for 5 carbon atom? It is pent, right? So pent. Right? Now since it contains double bond, the suffix ene will be added. So the carbon chain is the main parent chain, isn't it? So based on that, the root word will be selected. Now let's move to prefix. Now the substituent that is present is given and prefix that is to be used. Now so based on the presence of a substituent, the prefix is used. Now for example, if the substituent is fluorine, it is fluoro, chlorine, chloro, bromine, bromo, iodine, iodo, NH2 will be amino, CH3 methyl, CH2 CH3 will be ethyl. So depending upon the substituent, the appropriate suffix will be used. Now for example, if the carbon contains the substituent bromine, right, and it consists of 5 carbon atom and it consists of single bond. Now how will you name it, right? The prefix should come in the beginning, isn't it? So it is, so since it contains 5 carbon atoms, it will be pentane. This is bromo, pent. Now since it contains only single bond, ane, right? So it is bromopentane. So this is how you use the suffix in the IUPAC naming. Now the suffix is used in the presence of functional group. If a functional group is present, then the suffix will be used. Now for the alcohol, for the functional group alcohol, the suffix used is OL, right? Now for example, if it is methane, methanol, right? And if it is an aldehyde, AL, methanal, you can say. Now if it is a ketone, it is ONE, that is on, right? Now if it is an acid, it is oic acid. So this is how you name the IUPAC naming for a compound when the functional group is present, and this functional group is used as a suffix. Now for example, if the compound contains 3 carbon and the functional groups that is present is OH. So since it contains 3 carbon atoms, so since it is 3 carbon atoms, what is the root word? Root word is prop, isn't it? Prop. Now since it contains the alcohol functional group OL, so propanol. Now, if the compound contains 5 carbon atoms and if it contains the acid group, right? So the functional group is acid. Now how will you name since it contains 5 carbon atoms and only the single bond is present? So 5 carbon atoms, 5 carbon atom is pent, right? So pent. Now since it contains the OH group, the oic acid should be used. So pentanoic acid. So this is how you name the compound. Let's see the naming of few compounds based on the rules that we have learned. First compound is, this is the organic compound, right? Now first what we have to do to find out the root word, what you have to do, you have to number the carbon chain, isn't it? You have to find out the longest carbon chain. Now this is the longest carbon chain. Now I have started from the left hand side to the right hand side. So here it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if you number it the other way, then that will also come as 5. Now if I number as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, again the longest carbon chain is consists of 5 carbon atoms. Now the first step is that 5 carbon atoms are present, right? So since it contains 5 carbon atoms, I can use the word pent. Pent means 5. So the next step is the single bond, right? Now it consists of only single bond, so it comes under the alkane group, right? We said that the alkane consists of single bond, isn't it? So this comes under alkane. So adding this root word and the suffix pent and ane, so this will be pentane. So the IUPAC name of this compound is pentane. Now why it is pentane? Since it consists of 5 carbon atoms, pent, since it consists of only single bonds, ane, so pentane. So the IUPAC name of this compound is pentane. Next we'll move to the next compound. Now here this is no longer the straight chain. It consists of the branch, isn't it? Now how will you name this? The first step is the common. First you have to find out the longest carbon chain. So this is the longest carbon chain. Now if I name here, from here, if I start from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, again this will be the longest carbon chain. So either I can use this straight carbon chain, or otherwise I can go in the L shape. I can number as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this will be the more comfortable way of naming the straight chain. So I'll take this way. Now since it contains 5 carbon atoms, pent, right? Now the second one is that you have to see whether it contains any substituent. Now here in the second carbon you have the substituent. Now what is the substituent? Substituent is methane, isn't it? Now this is methane. Now the third step is that the single bond. Now it consists of only single bond including the substituent. So that we have to find out. So we have to add the suffix ane since it consists of single. Now since it consists of these substituent, it is methyl, right? Now where is the substituent? It is substituent is present in the second carbon, right? Now how will you name it? First you will number the carbon in which the substituent is present. So 2. Now what is the substituent? Methyl. Now how many carbon atoms are there? 5. So pent. Now is there any double bond or single bond or triple bond? Only single bond. So it is ane. So 2-methyl pentane. Right? Now once again I'll repeat, children. So if you write the IUPAC naming, so first you have to see in which place the substituent is present. Here the substituent is present in the second carbon. So 2 and hyphen. Hyphen is a must. You should not forget it. And what is the substituent that is present? Here the substituent present is methyl. So methyl. Now how many carbon atoms are there? The longest chain consists of 5 carbon atoms. So pent. Now it consists of only single bond. So ane. So 2-methyl pentane is the IUPAC name for this compound. Next we'll move to the third example. Now this is the compound, right? Now here I have numbered in 2 ways. Now I'll say you which one is correct and which one is wrong. Now first one is that we have to find out the longest carbon chain and in which the substituent should get the least numbering, isn't it? Now since it contains the branched one, right? So I'll be labeling in such a way that the substituent get the least number. Now here I have numbered this way, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now here I am getting the longest chain with 7 carbon atoms. Now see this type of numbering, I have taken the longest single chain. Now here if you see the number of carbon atom, it is 6. But I should see that the number of carbon atoms that I get in the longest chain is maximum, isn't it? Now here I am getting 6 carbon and here I am getting 7 carbon. So which one is correct? So this will be the correct numbering and this is wrong. So this way of numbering should not be done. Now if you see this numbering, though it is in the L shape, this is the longest carbon chain and the substituent get the least number. That is the substituent is in the third carbon, right? So the numbering in this way is correct and not this way. Now how will you name the compound? So having found out the longest carbon chain, now I will decide depending upon the number of carbon chain, it is hept because 7 carbon, so it is hept, right? And now where is the substituent? The substituent is present in the third carbon. And what is the substituent? The substituent is methyl. So 3-methyl. Since it contains 7 carbon atoms, it is hept. Now since all the bonds in this compound is the single bond ane, so the compound, the IUPAC name of this compound is 3-methyl heptane, right? Now why I named as this way? Because the longest chain contains 7 carbon, so it is hept. All the bonds are single, so ane. and the substituent is in the third carbon, so it is 3, and the substituent is methyl, so it is methyl. So the IUPAC name of this compound is 3-methyl heptane. Now we have seen 3 examples, isn't it? So three examples should be copied down in your textbook. For this you can refer page number 161 and 162. Now in this session we have learnt about what are organic compounds, characteristics of organic compounds, what is hydrocarbons, the classification of hydrocarbons, what is functional group, and we have learnt about the characteristics of the homologous series, and we have also learnt about the nomenclature, that is IUPAC naming, and we have seen 3 examples, isn't it? So these 3 examples should be copied down in your classwork, right? And for the characteristics of the homologous series, you can refer page number 159 in your textbook, and the characteristics of the homologous series, and these 3 examples should be written in your classwork and submit your classwork in the school office on Friday. This classwork contains the internal marks. Internal marks will be given based on your classwork. So see to that you submit your classwork on time and don't regret when the school reopens, right? So we'll see you in the next session. In the next session we'll continue with this lesson. Thank you, children.